Hello everyone, myself Sanat Kumar Swai, Assistant Professor at Vedang Technology, Bhubaneswar. I hope you are all doing well, and I also wish you had a um, happy and safe Diwali. Okay, so coming back to class, today we are going to discuss about the concept of workplace spirituality. Okay, very interesting topic. So, what exactly is the um, workplace spirituality, and how that is important in the organizational sector? Okay, what are few examples of the workforce spirituality? Whether that is why we need to understand, and what is the relevance in the organizational sector? So, we'll be going to few slides, and we'll see those importance. Yeah, right. So, yeah. So, what happens? Workplace spirituality. So, you see here, this is a slide. I mean, yeah. So, what exactly happens in the workplace spirituality? So, you see, it creates an environment of inclusion diversity in the workforce diversity for spirituality. It promotes or encourages yoga and meditation to eliminate stress, create time to educate, train in the skills of self leadership, questions if company actions are aligned with the higher meaning of purpose, integrate core values. So, well, this is, don't you think that that's a bit personal? I mean, spirituality, what it has to do with an organization particularly? Okay, we'll be looking into a few other slides. Okay, so introduction. Okay, what is the overview of workplace spirituality? Okay, why we need to understand workplace in spirituality, because you see workplace spirituality gives a sense of connection, purpose and meaningful work within the organization. Sometimes you will see that in certain organization, employees they get disconnected. Okay, they sometimes they move out of their purpose. I mean, they think that what is the purpose of this, whatever they are doing. Okay, that sometimes feel, I mean, this illusionment happens sometimes. Okay, that whether they're doing a meaningful work in that organization or not. Okay, if they are not doing, if they are not working meaningfully, how they can work meaningfully. Okay, so these are some questions which arises in the mind of the employees sometimes. Okay, so what happens is that this workforce spirituality, it goes beyond religion, focusing on values. What are the values? Like compassion, integrity and sense of community. Don't think that it is something like relating to religion, but that goes beyond the religion. When we are working in a community, when we are working in an organization, you will see that there are certain values. So whether those are positive values, whether those are moral values which we can inculcate in ourselves, whether we are being uh, whether there's a compassion which has been the values such as compassion, integrity, or whether there's a sense of community which has been promoted in our organization. Okay, so that happens. I mean, that is something, I mean, which workplace spirituality focuses on. Okay, so importance of spirituality at work. What is the importance? Importance is that it enhances employee satisfaction, promotes ethical behavior, reduces stress, and fosters positive environment. Definitely. See, when there is a spirituality at workplace, okay, if we are incorporating spirituality at a workplace, so what happens is that enhances the employee satisfaction. An employee is immensely satisfied. The employee also focuses on the ethical behavior during his work. By no way unethical behavior has been tolerated in that organization. Okay. Next, it also reduces stress. Very important. These days, you know, industrial stress is one of the most dangerous, mental disease in every organization these days. Okay. So that stress is also reduced, and that fosters a positive environment, which is very much important for any organization to prosper and move ahead. Right. Next, why workplace spirituality matters. Okay, why do we need to understand workplace spirituality? Because you see, what is the role? What is the role of spirituality in today's workplace? Because if we are i- I mean, uh, if we are inculcating the spirituality in our or we are integrating the spirituality in our workplace, so that is what that is going to do is that is going to support holistic well-being. Okay, an employee who is a spiritual, you will see that there is a holistic well-being in that overall well-being in that employee. Okay, that also creates a space where employee feel valued and aligned with their work purpose. Sometimes there are employees who feel that they are being left behind. They are being there's a disillusionment that whatever work they are being assigned to or whatever work they are doing, that is something they are not being, they don't feel valued, and their work purpose is something different. I mean, there is apart from spirituality. So what happens is there is a disharmony sometimes. Okay, they don't feel that and reduces their productivity level. Okay, so the role of spirituality helps employees find inner peace and balance. So if there is a balance, then what happens, the productivity level increases, and subsequently job satisfaction, there's a job satisfaction among the employees. Okay, particularly in India, if you see that diversity in belief is valued, spirituality often aligns with cultural and personal values. Sometimes we'll see that spirituality is something is very cultural and very personal. Okay. So diversity is being valued in the Indian perspective. But when we are coming to the workplace spirituality, it supports inclusivity and collaboration across diverse teams. So you see, when there's a diverse team, I mean, there's a teamwork, okay, while executing any kind of project. So what happens is there's a diverse team, okay. So in that diverse team, okay, it supports the inclusivity, okay. Who spiritually, if that workplace has been spiritual, then that supports the inclusivity of various kinds of diversity, okay. So that helps the organization, or that helps the particular projects to be completed on time and in a more efficient way. Now, key elements of workplace spirituality. What is the key element of workplace spirituality? The first one is meaningful work. Are we doing meaningful work? That comes into our mind in any employee. Okay, so the employee, they find purpose in their roles. So that, yes, whatever role I'm being assigned to, I have certain meaning to that work. Okay, that is one of the most key element of workplace spirituality. Next, sense of community. Okay, we have a sense of community. Yes, yes, we have been a part of the community, and we have a uh, interpersonal connection, and we have a supportive network. Okay, so a feeling of belongingness, a feeling of community building comes into play in the workplace spirituality. Okay, next, alignment in organizational values. Sometimes you see that the organizational values there we are unable to align if there is no workplace spirituality. But as per the workplace spirituality, we have an alignment with work organizational values if that has been integrated. Okay. So what happens that there is a consistency between personal and organizational ethics and values. That sometimes you see those ethics and values, it clashes. Personal values and organizational values. Personal ethics and organizational ethics, that clashes. Some, if there is a spiritual, if the spirituality comes into play, then there is a consistency between these personal and organizational ethics and values. Okay. Next, compassion and empathy. Okay, promoting kindness and understanding. So, what happens in case of spirituality? We have a lot of compassion. We have a lot of empathy. Okay, so what happens that promote kindness and understanding, and that is one of the important role to play within any organization. Okay, so these are the few key elements in the workplace spirituality. Now, what are the example of workplace spirituality in India? So if we talk about, again, if you talk about Tata Group, so what happens that they focus on ethics. They are more ethical. Okay, they have a community building. Okay, they are employee centric. We can say employee well-being or centric. Okay, so they also participate in a lot of initiatives which are being focused on the employees basically. Okay, so definitely that, I mean, we can say that those spiritual values are being adopted or been implemented in the Tata Group. Infosys, the ethical company program. So they have a ethical employee company program. What is it? That they also emphasize on transparency. They also emphasize on ethics and integrity. Okay, so they create a culture that yes, we have to create a culture that is a mutual respect. We need to have mutual respect and mutual trust among our employees. Okay, so this is also one of the spiritual values which they have incorporated in their culture. Okay, Infosys. Okay, so for example, local example, if you can say that small to medium enterprises in India often allow flexible schedules for spiritual or personal practices, such as morning prayer, which supports employee spiritual needs. So this is something like you see, some not the large company, for example, small companies also, small enterprises, uh, medium enterprises. What they do, they also allow certain time for their for the spiritual or personal practices for their employees. Okay, so these are the few examples of workplace spirituality in India. You see, after higher productivity, there is also ethical and compassionate work culture in case of the benefits of workplace spirituality. What do you mean by ethical and compassionate work culture? Is that it creates a sense of belonging. Okay, you feel a sense of belonging that yes, you are a part of a team and you are working for a common goal. Okay, and further, it reduces conflict. See, when you are working, I think, uh, yeah, okay. Anyways, so when you're working for a team and there is a sense of belonging, then what happens then that there is a reduced conflict. I mean, there is the conflict level goes down. Okay, and promote respect. So there is a sense of respect among the employees and among the teammates. Okay, so these are the benefits of workplace spirituality. Next slide. So now, what are the challenges in promoting workplace spirituality? See, most of the organization, when they are promoting the workplace spirituality, okay, so they face certain challenges. Okay, what are the challenges which they are facing while promoting this kind of spirituality in the workplaces? Is that the first one is misinterpretation and biasness. Okay, so sometimes you see there is a misinterpretation. I mean, when people from different backgrounds they come together and they work in a team, so what happens is there is a definitely conflict and there is definitely sort of misinterpretation. Okay, some may not be able to interpret what exactly is all about. I mean, the spirituality of other person may be a different one, and that may create some sort of misinterpretation. Okay, and sometimes it does happen that when you are in a team and you it happens that you belong to a certain a particular spiritual group or spiritual interests, so that creates some sort of biasness. Okay, so what happens is that potential confusion between spirituality and religion. Okay, which leaves certain kind of discomfort is also being created. So what happens that people they normally misinterpret. Okay, what exactly is spirituality and what exactly is religion? See, religion has got nothing to do with spirituality. Okay, religion is something, you can say spirituality is somewhat, it is of a higher level. Okay, it is a higher dimension, we can say. Okay, so spirituality is somewhat of a higher dimension. I mean, you may be spiritual, but you may not be religious. Okay, but being religious doesn't mean that you will be spiritual person. Okay, so there's a difference between, and moreover, to be spiritual, you don't have to follow a particular religion. Okay, that can be universal. Spirituality is universal, right? So see, there is misinterpretation. People are unable to understand what exactly is religion. See, a lot of conflict, a lot of problems these days, they happen due to religion. Okay, not about spirituality. Spirituality is something different. It's about something about a higher dimension. Okay, but particularly about religion, if I would say that a lot of people they issues happens just because of religion, and just because that they confess that their religion is one of the best religion. Okay, so anyways, so there is misinterpretation, there is biasness. Okay, in when you are trying to promote this kind of spirituality in your workplaces. Now the second thing is cultural sensitivity. Now what do you mean by cultural sensitivity? Okay, that balancing diverse spiritual needs without biasness. See, it becomes Sometimes it becomes easier, sometimes it becomes a challenging, that you have to balance the diverse workforce. Okay, what is their spiritual needs? See, uh, I'll give you one example. Okay, there are, when you go to an international airports, particularly in some countries, not in all countries, or maybe in some cities also, in major cities, you may not find that in the smaller cities. So there is a prayer room. Okay, so what do you mean by the prayer room? Prayer rooms means anybody can come down and they can pray. Okay, that's not for a particular person. Okay, or for a particular religion. Okay, so what happens is that uh, that balancing nature becomes extremely difficult. It becomes one of the greatest challenge, that people from different backgrounds, people from different cultural backgrounds, okay, they are going to come together to a particular place, and they can practice the workplace spirituality. So that becomes pretty much difficult, pretty much challenging. Okay, and it becomes difficult because you have to balance all the spiritual needs without any kind of biasness. Okay, so you have to be sensitive about the culture. Okay, what culture they are coming from. Next is organizational resistance. So what do you mean by organizational resistance? Some traditional organizations may hesitate to adapt to spiritual practices. So definitely, yes, people, as I said, that they may not be religious, they may not be spiritual, and there are atheist organizations these days. So it becomes difficult. Okay, it becomes difficult that once you start practice spirituality at your workplace, that becomes difficult, extremely difficult, because there is a resistance from the organization where you're working for. Okay, so these are the challenges, particularly in the workplace spirituality. Next, fostering workplace spirituality in India. Now, how we are going to foster workplace spirituality, in particularly in India? Okay, so these are a few points, like encourage reflective practices. Now, what do you mean by encouraging reflective practices? That we have to create certain spaces. As I already said, that there should be prayer rooms. Okay, okay, in major airports, in major cities, you will find that there are prayer rooms. Okay, so it's not for a particular religion, but it is for anybody can come down and they can practice. So you have to create spaces for quiet reflection or meditation. So certain space has to be created in the workplace, particularly. Okay, so that people, they can, from different backgrounds, from different religious background, they can come down and reflect or do meditations. Okay, next, leadership by example. Now, how you are going to show certain leadership by certain example? So you have to understand the values. You have to understand that, yes, you have to set some examples. Okay, what kind of examples you're going to set for in your workplace? Is that you have to value compassion and ethics. Okay, so certain compassionate, you have to become compassionate, you have to follow certain ethical rules. Okay, so that you will be setting an example, you will be setting a positive tone. Okay, in your workplace, so you have to set some example. Okay, so this is one of the uh, um, way of fostering the workplace spirituality, right? Next is emphasis on ethical training program. Okay, so you have to be very much ethical. Okay, these days people, they try, I mean, they show that they are ethical, but a lot of unethical practices are being practiced throughout the world. Okay, so what happens that you have to put a lot of importance, you have to give a lot of importance on the ethical practices. Okay, particularly in your workplace, right? So how you're going to do that? You have to do regular workshops. So regular workshops, seminars, um, get-togethers. Okay, so that has to, there certain programs has to be taken on a regular basis, which gonna focus on ethics, empathy, and community services. Okay, see, in these days you will see that a lot of organizations, they do a lot of community services. Okay, they go down to a community or they adopt a community. Okay, and while adopting the community, they are going to work on that particular community issues. Okay, so that becomes very much important. Okay, to teach the staff or teach the employees about the ethics, the moral values, the empathic, compassionate values. Okay, so these are important. Okay, you have to give a lot of importance on these types of training programs. Okay, next is employee initiative. So what kind of employee initiative you are going to take? Okay, See, sometimes what happens that you have to work for certain social initiatives. Okay, as I already said in the previous classes, that CSR activities. Okay, a lot of CSR activities has to be taken by the organization if you want to foster certain workplace spirituality. Okay, so how you're gonna do that? You have to support employees in volunteer work. Okay, a lot of volunteer work has to be undertaken. Okay, or certain social initiatives. Okay, so what happens is that as because we are a part of a community as a whole. Okay, a society is a community on a larger aspect. So as because we are part of the community, we have to do something for the community. Okay, it may not be all the work may not be always on a financial gain, but certain works has to be on a volunteering basis. Okay, so we have to do a lot of certain voluntary work or certain social initiative has to be taken. Okay, right. Okay. So with this, we have come to the end of the slide. Okay. So if we are going to summarize it, the what do you mean by workplace spirituality? Okay. Uh, if we are going to summarize it, and how are you gonna do that? Is that the first one is workspace spirituality is crucial for enhancing organizational culture and employee well-being. So how you are going to enhance, because if you are promoting the workplace spirituality, that means uh, you're promoting a multicultural values in your organization particularly. Okay, so what happens then, that becomes much important. I mean, this becomes very much crucial. Okay, for the well-being of your employees and also about the organizational culture. You're going to enhance your organizational culture. Okay, right. Next, in India, spiritual practice align well with cultural values. Okay, so what happens that we have, particularly in India, okay, you will see that a lot of people they practice their spirituality or their religious values. Okay, with not hampering with their cultural ties. Okay, they keep their cultural ties, they keep their cultural values, and then they work, they practice the spirituality. So what happens that if we adhere to all this and if we align well, then what happens that becomes a supportive workplace, you can say. Okay, a harmonious workplace particularly. Okay, so that becomes much easier for the any kind of organization to grow. Okay, next, by fostering a spiritually nurturing environment, organizations can enhance moral, create lasting bonds, and drive both personal. But definitely, you see, if we are creating certain environment in our workplace, so which enhances or which fosters a spiritual atmosphere. So what happens that enhances our moral, the employee moral. Okay, and once the employee morals enhances, it creates a bonding. Okay, that yes, we feel certain kind of longing towards the organization, and definitely that drives both personal and professional growth. So definitely it's not in the terms of personal growth, but we can also say in terms of organizational growth as well. Okay, so I believe we have covered all the points in this particular slide. Okay, thank you very much for your time. If you have any doubt, please feel free to contact. Okay, thank you.